Welcome to Disability 24/7 with Christine Brown.
And Kyle Figman, we are excited to have you.
This is a podcast by people with disabilities, for people with disabilities, and about disability issues.
This episode is about Disability Pride because this July is Disability Pride Month.
Our guest today is Brittanie Maddox. Maddox, I was close. From Disability Rights Ohio, who is the Community Engagement Coordinator. Welcome, Brittanie. How are you doing today?
Thank you for having me, y'all. I'm doing well, and I appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. We wanted to do a podcast about Disability Pride and talk to Brittanie about her experiences. Here's a little bit of information about Disability Pride. Disability Pride Month is celebrated every July to commemorate the Americans with Disabilities Act that was signed by President George Herbert Walker Bush in 1990. The ADA guarantees that people with disabilities have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else. The month is a time to celebrate, raise awareness, and highlight the voices of people with disabilities. The colors of Disability Pride Month flag represents each different type of disability. Red for physical disabilities, yellow for cognitive and intellectual disabilities or neurodiversity, white invisible and undiagnosed disabilities, blue emotional and psychiatric disabilities, including mental illness, anxiety, and depression, green sensory disabilities, including deafness, blindness, lack of smell, lack of taste, and audio processing disorder, and black honors those who have died due to negligence, suicide, rebellion, illness, and eugenics. I've been with Disability Rights for Ohio for 10 years, but I've had a developmental disability all my life and accepted that I am autistic and what Disability Pride Month, I didn't realize about disability until when Alexia Kemmerling, who used to be what Brittanie Maddox is doing right now, talked about disability pride, showed me disability pride. Now I've got a share that needs to be all over the country, not just selected cities like Chicago, New York, and and maybe other cities around the world. Thank you. And Christine can share about her disability and disability pride.
Thank you, Kyle.
Welcome.
I have autism, and I didn't find that out till later because back then you were only counted to have autism if you were nonverbal back in the old days. And now it's changed so much in the DSM-5. And also I have epilepsy, legally blind. I didn't find that out till age 14, almost getting killed by a school bus. And then I now have a certain form of cerebral palsy, but it's a certain kind. And we all learn differently, but everyone has their own skills and talents. And we want people to know that they have every kind of skill they can bring to show that they are strong advocates. So, Brittanie, what made you decide to go into this work for people with disabilities?
Okay. So I myself have disabilities as well. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I also have ulcerative colitis, and I have an ostomy bag now. But having rheumatoid arthritis, it will progress as I age, and I'll go through different changes with my body as I get older. But so I kind of knew that I had disabilities potentially, but I didn't really know until I decided I wanted to go back to school. I was a stay-at-home mom for a while, and then when my kid was in about preschool, I decided I wanted to do something else and maybe wanted to finish college. So I knew there was a university close to me. I kept hearing about the University of Toledo. So I went online and I was just kind of like scrolling through to see what kind of programs they had. And disability studies was one of them. And it kind of piqued my interest. And so I kind of read about it. And then I went and talked to an advisor and I thought, well, this seems really cool. I don't really know anything, I'm going to learn, but I feel like this is something that I should do. So I got accepted and I went back to school in 2020. And I majored in disability studies at the University of Toledo. And then I minored in women's and gender studies. And I've always loved advocacy and law and legislation. So I was trying to figure out a way to combine all of my interests into one. And the Ability Center of Greater Toledo, which is a center for independent living in Toledo, they were looking for an intern on the advocacy team. And I thought, well, I love advocacy and I definitely want to do something. So this is going to be perfect for me. So I was able to get a job and I just fell in love with, I love civil rights. I love wanting to fight for justice. So I really fell in love with the field and it was very personal to me. I also, when I was going through some legal issues with my son, I had an experience where there was a judge who was super discriminatory towards me. I didn't know it at the time. I just knew that I should probably be quiet and not really say anything. She just said, she just looked at me and just assessed what I looked like and how I presented. And she said, well, I'm not sure why you're on Medicaid, so you look like you're able to work. So I'm going to say that you're able to earn X amount of dollars, which at the time, I thought, well, this is kind of scary because when you're going through that, it's really scary, right? Like to have a judge kind of say those things about you, make those assumptions, and you have a small child and trying to navigate the legal system is complicated and scary to begin with, let alone having that happen to you. So that always just kind of stuck in the back of my mind and kind of pushed me further into this field. So
What does disability pride mean to you?
that's a good question. For a while, I didn't know. And I think for me now, just given my experiences and things that I've learned, I think disability pride for myself, I think really just means accepting me for all the changes that have happened and all the changes that might happen, and being prideful, being okay, being happy, being content with how I am today. And I think one way I really kind of had to not quickly accept it, but I think really kind of helped open my eyes. I took ASL in college, and if you can't tell, a lot of my fingers have changed over the years, and they bend in all sorts of ways. And I was doing ASL. I had to record myself telling a story in sign language for a project. And it was really uncomfortable for me at first because I think like as things change for us gradually, we don't notice it as much, right? But one day I just happened to notice that, man, my hands do not look like how they used to look 5, 6 years ago. They look so different. They don't feel like they're part of my body. Like, whose hands are these? I feel like they don't even belong to me. So I made a comment in one of my sessions with my professor, and she was like, your hands are telling a story. She was like, you're telling a story, not just for this project, but it's showing like your life. It's telling a story about you, and it's beautiful. And I'm going to get a little choked up, so bear with me, you guys. But I think for her to say just
Oh,
that, that was like beautiful to her. Really, really kind of helped me to accept um the changes that were happening to my body without my control, right? Because like as I continue to age and just time goes on, my hands will just continue to change. But it was just really beautiful how she put it. And it really like changed how I looked at myself. And so like
Oh,
sometimes, people may stare like at my hands or something, or, when I point, it can kind of catch people off guard sometimes. But I really just embrace that. So yeah, and then like her words will stick with me forever.
oh, I am so, and I understand you got emotional, and if you need to take a minute, I'm okay with that, and
Well, guess what? I honestly just talked to my doctor today about a similar thing because my left hand, the pinky and the ring finger, it's weird that I've had a experience where I'm losing my grip in this hand. I don't, thankfully none of my stuff are glass, okay? But the thing is, I've wondered, what is this? Well, I'm going to have a test done to see. It might be arthritis, not the arthritis where you hurt, but the arthritis as losing your sense
Mm,
kind. It's a
yeah.
different kind, okay? I talked to my doctor today because I had a 6 month follow up, and I told her
Mm,
that's happened for like the past 3 months here and there, okay? Not every day, but I was curious.
yeah.
And so we all go through that. You can't ever know why, and it's part of aging. So I'm going to have a test done to see just what it is, whether that's just OT or need hand surgery. And I
Mm,
don't believe it's hand surgery because it's not severe enough.
I hope
oh,
not.
okay,
It's just tiny, but
yeah. I'm getting older myself. I will turn 55 in August, and there's trying to keep active with going trying to work out and try to go bowling and swimming when need to, and try to do walks in around near my neighborhood.
That's very cool. Gotta keep moving as we get older.
Yes, yes.
I want to just ask this, Brittany. What has your work shown you about disability pride or rights that you might not have known about before, or did you answer that?
I have not answered that. I think I'm constantly just learning more in depth. I just continue to learn about the various types of barriers that people encounter. Like I have ideas, and I've read things and I've studied things, but it can be very different from your actual experience, right? So I'm always learning something new about difficulties that people may have. And if one person has a barrier or a difficulty, there's going to be a lot of people who have that same difficulty. And being creative or trying to find ways to bring people together so that we can advocate and try and change that, work towards helping other people. So I think what it's really helped me do, I think, is just be able to learn and listen more and more each day, as I talk to more people, as I hear more about systemic issues that people are going through. So it just deepens my knowledge. I feel like my role that I am in now.
Okay, thank you, Brittany. And what do you think that the people who don't work in disability rights space should know about disability pride?
I think sometimes people who aren't familiar with disability spaces, they kind of go into it with a preconceived notion or this idea that they maybe thought up themselves or they heard somebody else. And I think that they bring sometimes some of their own walls. And I still feel like there are a lot of people who think that people with disability don't have disability pride, or that they want to change themselves, or they want to be different, or instead of really coming into it and being super open minded that people with disabilities, a lot of them really do have disability pride, right? They're happy with who they are. They don't want to change their disability. They don't want to take their disability away from them. They want society to get better, right? They want to have, easier access to things, but they don't want themselves to change. And so I think we have to keep educating people that disability is part of just human diversity. It's just part of human existence. And it's not that we want as a community to change who we are or change who our friend is or, our coworker. We just want to help make the world change to accommodate us. And not necessarily just accommodate, but just work for
Accept.
us. Yeah, we want to exist as everyone else exists, regardless of disability. So I think sometimes people still get caught up in that antiquated mindset that, oh, well, people with disabilities just can't be, happy with who they are. And so I think we do have a lot more education that we still have to continue, unfortunately, doing to everyone else.
Yes, thank you, Brittany. And Brittany, before she came to DRO, she worked at the Ability Center in Toledo.
Yep.
And I worked for over years, first, and I worked for a job, for an employer with a warehouse that had no benefits for 3 years. I was not very happy, and they just partly didn't understand my disability, and then also worked for in an insurance agency for 3 years before going to a corporate law firm for 15 years.
That's a
And
long
my old
time.
employer held me back from exploring my potential because of the part that they just I wasn't given an opportunity to work on a computer, part because of disability. And then I had a few coworkers in my mocked me because of my disability, and also one held a grudge against me, and but we did make up at the end. And then the one who mocked me, he did have to apologize after he left the employer. But I'm just been very grateful that when I first started at DRO, I thought I would not last for 2 days. I thought I would quit for after 2 days, because I thought I would be back at a corporate law firm. But I'm glad I quit. uh I'm just grateful I stuck it out, and still and and happy to be at and what disability rights means, and advocating for yourself. And also, and that's what I share about disability, is advocating for not just for others, but but you have to advocate for yourself too, along with advocating for others, to make things better for people with disabilities. And I thank you, and I'll let Christine have her turn.
And I will say that for me, I've really had experience myself in history where some employers didn't like me. And then my boss said just yesterday how I'm so unique for this at Nisonger, that I am a great value trying to give resources and trying to keep the programs moving, to know about stuff. And I find people for research since I know so many people in the system.
That's
But
awesome.
we want to thank Brittanie Maddox from DRO for joining us today on the Disability 24/7 podcast for this episode on Disability Pride Month. And so we look forward to hearing from all of our viewers, especially about this special episode. Let us know your thoughts and takeaways.
And you can find us on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, or on Instagram at Disability 24/7. And please subscribe. And you have a wonderful day. And thank you, Brittanie, for being our guest today.
Thank you so much. Thanks, y'all, very much for having me.